From the studios in San Diego, California, this is Mix Up Sports on mixupsports.com, powered by twitch.tv, here on this Monday, the 25th day of 2016. My name is Frank Marchese, Chris Ryan to my left, Nick Sexton to my right. Boys, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Doing great.
And we obviously begin today with the NFL's Conference Championship Week, more specifically the edge of your seat thriller that was the New England Patriots versus the Denver Broncos at Mile High yesterday. And going into this game, you guys know it was the Battle of the Legends. And to be honest, personally, I think it was the one that lost that actually ended up getting the upper hand.
It was the two games we watched this week, and this was obviously the better one for me personally, simply because it was so close up until the end. Although, with that being stated, the defense of the Broncos stepped up more than I thought they would have. They had a total of 4 sacks and 2 interceptions, but it seemed like every single play, Tom Brady was on the ground. It was pretty ridiculous. You had Peyton Manning, who no one expected to play like this, come out and have a tremendous first half, and then slow down in the second half. But it was still a better Peyton Manning than we've seen all year. So, overall, it was a good game to watch up until the end. Patriots on that final drive, it took them 3 different drives on fourth and goal to, finally put it away and score, but fell short. So, good game overall, and congrats to the Broncos for moving on.
Yeah, so this Broncos defense, as we've mentioned, Peyton Manning was, I think the Broncos total had 20 quarterback hits and 4 sacks on him, and he was not comfortable in the pocket at any point in time because Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware both were screaming around that edge coming for him. And I mean, I think this shows that this Broncos defense could be up in the classified as one of the greatest defenses in the history of the NFL. I mean, they took a team where Peyton Manning in the first half of the season was throwing interceptions left and right, leading the league in interceptions, and yet they still somehow got the first seed in the AFC. I mean, if a defense can make up for that many turnovers, this is a special defense to watch.
I can't think of a defense that has been more dominant over the course of the season. Really, since I think it was the 2000 Baltimore Ravens that beat the Giants in the Super Bowl. I mean, that was a very powerful defense. It was a very dominant defense, and this was just the same. I mean, when you have DeMarcus Ware, it was not just DeMarcus Ware. It was not just Von Miller. It was the interior linemen. All the linebackers were in on it. Akeem Talib and the rest of that secondary had themselves a fantastic, fantastic day. This was not just a two-man thing. This was a group effort, a big-time group effort by that entire Denver Bronco defense. And you heard Phil Simms say it many, many times while they were on air. They can't remember the last time Brady was harassed as long as he was for and harassed as often as he was. And the only thing I can think is that first Giants Super Bowl when the Giants had Strahan and Manura and Tuck. That was really the last time we've seen Brady get really manhandled and dominated the way he was yesterday.
Yeah, it was a defensive, showdown for the Broncos, but not taking anything away from the Patriots defense, they were the ones who kept him in the game. Honestly, if the way that Tom Brady was playing, if the defense hadn't showed up, this would have been a lot further apart as far as score. The Patriots defense stepped up and kept them in the game, giving the offense more opportunities to come on the field and get that time to come back. And obviously they did, but failed to convert. But this secondary with Aqib Talib, Chris Harris, those guys. You had the defensive linemen, you got the linebackers. Them as a core unit was unstoppable. We talked about it. Tom Brady was on his back most of the games. And as a quarterback, that's not where you're supposed to be at all. It was a sad game for Patriots fans and just anyone who watches football, knowing that, if you wanted Patriots to win, you can't win like that. And, we found that out this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, and not only I mean, this Broncos defense, they took one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL in the Patriots and shut them down for at least 3 quarters. And if it weren't for some long bombs to Gronkowski, this Patriots defense would not have been in this game for a while. And then also you had Peyton Manning really in his almost coming out party, with just everyone thought, oh well, you got the legend Tom Brady against. I was one of the people that thought this is Peyton Manning. He's not doing too well, but he's he's proved that injury was what was holding him back this year, as he's turned into this vintage Manning that we're used to seeing, not the 17 interception Manning, but the Peyton Manning that'll go out there and win his team some football games.
And I mean, speaking of Peyton, he didn't look like it was not a vintage Peyton Manning performance. He had a couple of very, very good drives at the beginning of the game, and from there on, he was able to hold. He was able to pretty much just to hold steady, which is really, with the way that defense was playing, was really all he needed to do. And I'll go back to what I said before, at the very start, when I said I think it was the quarterback that lost and ended up getting the upper hand. I definitely think, even though he got knocked down so many times, even though they end up losing the game, I definitely think Tom Brady had the better game than Peyton Manning did.
You take away those 2 interceptions, it most seems like that. But it's for Peyton Manning in this scenario. You said it last week, Nick, or you said it Friday. He's a game manager, and that's what we saw. He gave his team the lead in the first half, and then he pretty much just kept them on the straight and narrow path for the rest of the game and let the defense do most of the work. Tom Brady by himself pretty much led the offense into a decent chance to come back and win this game. You had so many plays that just didn't work out. Receivers not catching the ball. You had just sometimes they were a couple overthrown ones, but overall, as a unit, it seemed like it was Tom Brady doing most of the workload. Trying to get it to Gronkowski, trying to get it to all these different players, and you even stated it. He seemed like the better quarterback this game, and I'll agree with you at 100%.
Yeah, and real quick about this Broncos offense, what I want to know is what has happened to Demaryius Thomas. I mean, throughout this season, he's just been MIA for this Broncos offense, and
crapped out with my fantasy team.
Yeah, exactly. Same with me.
Yeah, in yesterday's game, he only had 2 receptions for 12 yards. I mean, this is someone who was thought to be one of the best receivers in the NFL, yet he has not performed when given chances. He's dropped the ball. I mean, how this Broncos team is still chugging along without their what I guess used to be their number one receiver. Yeah, Emmanuel Sanders
really
has stepped up big. Owen Daniels
down to Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, Owen Daniels yesterday stepped up, got 2 touchdowns, and I mean, if Peyton Manning is back to where he's, I guess I'll switch my thought from vintage Manning to somewhat in contrast vintage Manning from where he's throwing 17 interceptions. If he can stay on the path to just get a couple, maybe like 1 or 2 touchdowns and no interceptions, this team has a chance to win the Super Bowl.
And you're talking about Owen Daniels having a great day. If you look at his stat line, he had 2 touchdowns, fantastic, but he had 2 catches for 33 yards. 2 catches for 33 yards, both of them were touchdowns. He was targeted 3 times. Now, back to Demaryius Thomas. He was targeted 7 times. So it's not like Peyton's not throwing to him. It's not like they're not throwing to him. It's just he's either covered or, as you said, he's dropping the ball.
I think for this Broncos offense, it was the best pickup they made, last season with picking up Emmanuel Sanders when he was originally supposed to go to the Chiefs, but then decided to go to Denver. That may be wrong with the teams, but I know that's the kind of situation that happened. But it was pretty much the best pickup. You had Demaryius Thomas, who you stated, Nick, was supposed to be one of the better receivers in the league. We saw what he did on a simple slant route when Tim Tebow was the quarterback, and we thought, hey, this guy's going to step up and do something. And then he hasn't done much. It's a good thing that they had Emmanuel Sanders there because he's picked up most of the slack, even through injuries. He's been that go-to guy that can get you out of situations. For the Broncos' sake, they need Demaryius Thomas to step up in this championship game because if they don't, Carolina's got a good defense and they are going to hold Emmanuel Sanders, and therefore Demaryius Thomas is going to have to be the one guy that he used to be.
Yeah, they have to find some way, or he has to find some way to motivate himself to where where he can, actually be the guy that they need him to be. And throughout the season, here's a little statistic for you. He's had 177 targets, yet only 105 receptions. I mean, so like you were saying, Frankie, it's not like Peyton Manning's been ignoring him. It's just Demaryius Thomas has literally and figuratively dropped the ball on many occasions this year. It's sad to see because, Peyton Manning, he's putting the ball on target for Demaryius Thomas, and there have been some games that have come down to where if he doesn't drop this ball, they might have won it more easily, or they might have actually just won the game. I don't know what's going on with Demaryius Thomas right now.
And speaking of dropping the ball, let's go to Stephen Gostkowski. Less Gostkowski and more Bill Belichick. Yes, Gostkowski missed the PAT in the first quarter, which everyone's getting on him. But if you listen to it, if you look at it, that was the first quarter. You still have 3 quarters of football to make up for that 1 point. And I'll tell you exactly where they could have made it up. 4th down and 1 with about 6.5 minutes to go. They try a little flip pass to Edelman. You knew that wasn't going to work. Just kick the field goal there. It makes it 20-15. You're down by 5. You get the ball again. About 2 minutes later, you're in the same situation around the same around the same place in the field. 4th down and 10. Instead of kicking it and making it, if you would have kicked it the first time, and kicked it again the second time, you would have made it 20-18. Then you're down by 2. That last drive is completely different. Instead, Belichick goes for it twice on 4th down when he should have kicked the field goal. And on that last drive, there's no maybe about it. 4th and 10 from 50, game on the line. You have to go for it on 4th down. But where the Pats lost that game was at about the 6:15 mark, and then about 2 minutes later when they had 2 chances to get 3 points, and they did not take either one of them.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Frankie. There, I was gonna state that they had multiple chances where they could have kicked it and reduced the total and didn't have to go for that 2-point conversion and could have still given themselves a lead. It's the play calling. It seemed really questionable. This is not the stuff that you would see from Belichick. Yes, he's a tricky coach and likes to do these flip-flop plays to mess with the defense, but there was no way that was going to work. You had Edelman alone to the outside. No, that's not going to work. Everybody could see where that was going because out of the play selection, 60 to 75% of the plays were passing. So this team is obviously going to pass the ball more times than they are going to run it, and you have Edelman out to the side. Where else do you think that's going to go? Several times you could have kicked the ball, reduced the points. I don't place at that point. I place no blame on the kicker. Gostkowski missed it early, and you had stated it. They should have had all game to make that up. And in this case, Belichick didn't think that they were comfortable enough giving that kick. So.
Now, hindsight is always 20/20. So obviously we're going to question all these plays, but on that,
unless you're Cam Newton, and hindsight is 50-50. Remember that from the post-game presser.
But on that 4th one play to Edelman, right? Chris Harris, he played unbelievably this game. I think he was playing with something like a separated tissue in his shoulder, and he came out. And he balled out. This whole secondary did, but he sniffed out that play and stopped that 4th one play from converting. But if you're Belichick here, you got to think about it this way: is that your offense has not gotten going whatsoever. Your offense has been stagnant the entire game. So you're at this point, and you got to think: do we kick the field goal and make it a smaller lead, or do we go for the touchdown? Because we don't know how many more opportunities we're going to get down here. I mean, the fourth quarter they came alive. So obviously it's easy to say, oh well, take the field goal and make it an easier game. But I mean, like I said, the offense has not been doing well that game. So I think in Belichick's mind, he's saying we have to get a touchdown here. We have to, or else I don't know how many more chances we're going to get down here.
But you look at it, you look at it that way, and it's a completely legitimate way to look at it. But my thought of looking at it is, your defense, Denver hasn't moved. Denver has been completely stagnant, has been stalled the entire second half. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You have them stopped. You have them not moving. To me, it made absolutely no sense. You have to go at that point. You have to kick the field goal. You have to kick the field goal. You got to get points on the board. You don't just sit there and let the time run out on you.
With each of those three spots that they ended up, going in 4th and 1, 4th and goal and stuff like that, each of those were easy field goal kicks. So, 3 drives, 3 field goals, you have 9 points. You're in the lead by 1, causing Denver to hurry up and do something. They could have won it had they had. I say could have because all football is a game of the last play or a what if. It goes either way. In this case and scenario, they could have taken the lead. And it's sad to say that, but the play calling for the Patriots is what lost in this game. The O-line didn't do anything for Brady. Defense, they were slow at first, but then they stepped it up. But the play calling is what really killed them this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of ways to look at it where the Patriots missed opportunities, and I mean, like we've talked about before, this Broncos defense it's ferocious, and granted, this Patriots O-line has been in shambles the entire season, but this is
the Pats have shown 34 different offensive lines this season.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how beat up they've been. But the way they've been winning is because they've gone with quick passes, and now the Broncos they saw that, they have the secondary to match that. I mean, I don't know how many times Gronk got shoved at the line and pressed to where Brady couldn't even get the ball out to him when he was open. It was a great game plan by the Broncos defense on how to stop Gronkowski, bar a few big plays. I mean, he had a good game, but I mean, Gronk was the whole Patriots offense. There's no way to change that. That's just how it was.
And I want to tell you guys something right now. That second half, I'm going to give you the drive results in the second half for Denver. Punt, 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 field goal, punt, punt, game over. You know how many offensive yards the Denver Broncos had in the fourth quarter? 2. That was it. They had 2. They were shut down. And now I know this question has come up. It's going to be asked over and over and over again this week. If I were Peyton Manning, I would get it out of the way early. Win or lose is not next Sunday, the one after that, is next day Peyton Manning's last game as an NFL quarterback.
In my opinion, win or lose, I would say Peyton Manning's done. Now, with that being said, if he decides to come back, I don't think he's starting for Denver. I think that we saw what Brock Osweiler can do as a starter, and I think that if he decides to come back, it's not going to be for Denver. It's going to probably be a team that needs a veteran quarterback to do something, or at least give him a chance. But if if he comes back, but I'm thinking personally with his health and the way he's been playing, there's no reason why he should come back. There, he just needs to stay at home, look at the ring, all the accomplishments, the record he holds, and just think, wow, what an NFL career, because he will easily be a Hall of Famer. We can all agree on that. He will, it's what a great quarterback, and I think that this season cements his place amongst the greatest, and therefore I think that he should end it.
Yeah, I mean it's been an amazing career for Manning, where he's brought two teams to the Super Bowl now, with the Broncos bringing them there twice. He got the Colts there, and I mean, like you mentioned, Krusha, if he stays, Brock Osweiler is done in Denver. So I think for the organization, you gotta. I mean, I know Elway and Manning are gonna have a long talk about this during the offseason, and I think that if you're a Broncos fan, you're almost hoping that he retires so you can keep Osweiler, because at this point Manning is not as effective as he was, and he is not the quarterback he used to be, and he is barely
All I'm
scraping out.
saying that if he comes back, he won't be in Denver. Brock Osweiler will be the one starting in Denver.
Oh, okay, well,
It's kind of it'd be like a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers
yeah,
situation.
I think
But I mean, uh,
I think that he's not as effective as he used to be, and it's at that point you got to think, is it worth it to put your body on the line for this? You've had an amazing career, just sit back, relax, and walk off, or walk off into the sunset here.
he's he's going to go down in history as one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, bar none. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is a Super Bowl winner. If he does not call it quits this season, he's a fool. This has to be his last game, coming off of the worst season of his career, where he was the second string quarterback for the first time since his freshman year at Tennessee. Okay. It has been a long time of him being at number one. It has been a long time of him being the man. Go out on top. And to be perfectly honest, I would set my goal for the Super Bowl. Don't set it to win. Just set it not to lose by as much as you did last time. We'll be back after this. Don't go away.